Some people say time is like a river that flows swift and sure in one direction. But I have seen the face of time, and I can tell you, they are wrong. Time is an ocean in a storm. Unless you're listening to The Gaming Outsider. Hey, this is Yuri Lowenthal, and we should all listen to The Gaming Outsider.
What's happening, GoCo? This week, Zack, Alyssa, and I are talking about the future of narrative games and whether we think they'll thrive in a world full of competitive online ones. In news, a ton of games were announced to be canceled in the near future. You'll also hear Alyssa's impression of a game called Season, A Letter to the Future, and my thoughts on Hi-Fi Rush, which was dropped the week before. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It's Sunday, February 5th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Zach Parkerson. What's up, man?
Howdy, partner.
And Alyssa White. What's up, Alyssa?
Not much, but you guys have already broken me, so I'm excited to see what else happens.
That's a premium content. You can watch us break Alyssa.
Zach's face.
The community loves your laugh, Alyssa, and there it is. And apparently Zach's cowboy accent, because he's still playing Red Dead Redemption 2, apparently.
That's right. I'm trying.
I love the cowboy accent.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Oh, boy.
Off to a good start.
I'm just going to move on, and I'm going to say congratulations goes to Chip White, who won the PS5 copy of Dead Space that was given away via drawing for the month of January. I messaged him yesterday, and he was very, very much excited. And he actually told me that he was planning to pass it on to somebody else as well, which I just love that that's happening with our giveaways. In fact, It's actually coming full circle a little bit, because the person who won Modern Warfare 2 that you reviewed for us, Zach, passed it on to someone else. And they pass it on to someone else, and then that person is passing it on to me. So I'm going to be able to play Modern Warfare 2, and then I'm passing it on to someone else, and then that person is passing it on. So I just love that we're doing this. We're just going to pass around a game.
Can I get on the list?
Yeah, for Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, because I want to play it.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you pass it on to someone else. I just want to
keep
keep saying that over and over again.
I like it. We're really sticking it to Activision. Good for us.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I just think it's a fun community thing to do, and I mean, nobody is required to do that. I want to be clear. When we do these games that give away, it's your game. It's just, if you want to, that'd be cool. It'd be kind of fun to keep it going. So
it's like those fast food line stories where everybody just keeps paying for each other.
Yeah, and it just annoys the crap out of the people actually working at the McDonald's that have to figure it out every time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure that's annoying. Yeah,
it's got to be trying to keep track. But
as a former Starbucks employee, yeah, that sounds really annoying.
Speaking of Dead Space, I hope you enjoy it, Chip, because we certainly are. Alyssa, we haven't heard your impressions on it. How is that going for you?
I am loving it.
Yeah.
What's your interaction with the original? I forget.
I played it when I first got my PS3, but it's been so long that I kind of forgot most of the game.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
So this is kind of like I'm just playing it for the first time. I remember bits and pieces, but it's mostly kind of like a fresh experience just because it's been so long since I played the first one.
I feel like I will never be able to go back to the original now with the 0G areas.
I forgot I just gotta the first one didn't have the 0G in it.
Yeah. I feel like that might be kind of ruined, but I don't know. That first game, when I replayed it, at least up-res still held up pretty well. So, but why would I not just play this one? I don't know.
Right.
True.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Well, especially when you already know the story. Because the only fault I really have with the remake is that they just tell you way too much about the universe right away.
Yeah, too early.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
I really want to talk to somebody that has never played the original and ask them, did it make sense? At what point did it start coming together as to what was going on? Because I feel like we never even heard the word unitology until halfway through the game, I feel.
No, and, I guess fast forward 30 seconds if you're super spoiler worried, but, when you get to the marker reveal, like the twist of the marker, it's already been explained in text and audio logs 6 hours before then.
Right.
But the main story still gives it to you like it's the twist. It's a very weird choice.
I was talking to CB about it, who, by the way, has beat it twice somehow.
Wow. Still hasn't gotten to the gates of Valhalla, though, huh?
I'm gonna dodge that one. In 4 days, no less, he beat it twice. Did the second run to get all the collectibles and the bonus ending. There's an alternative ending if you get all the collectibles in the game, which is all of like 15 seconds of different content in the ending.
Yeah, but it's still a fun excuse to do New Game Plus.
Oh yeah, and at least it gives you something. I mean, remember we talked about this in the past, Zach, but back in the day, like we felt like we were rewarded for cutscenes.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
here you go.
And here you go. So
did you know you can't do Impossible mode on New Game Plus?
I did not.
No, I didn't know.
I mean, that makes
either.
sense.
I really thought I was about to do a New Game Plus Impossible mode Plasma Cutter only run, but you can't.
Nice.
You really gotta earn that Impossible run.
I feel it because doesn't Impossible Run like only allow something like 3 saves or whatever for the entire game?
No, you're thinking of hardcore mode in Dead Space. This I think gives you unlimited saves, but it's one slot, and if you die, you automatically get like kicked down to hard mode if you want to keep playing. Otherwise, you have to restart the game.
Well, that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
True.
I did get an achievement today for completing a side quest. I don't know if you did, how much of those you did, Zach, but
All of them.
did you? I've done all the ones that I can because the ones that are available to me, I'm not that far in the game. Like they're kind of blocked off on my I don't know what you call quest log, which I just love that there is a quest log now. Just going back is cool.
Shout out to it's the only game I can really think of since Arkham City where the side quests they exist alongside the main storyline. Where they make you wait to get more of it because the plot hasn't progressed far enough, kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's cool. I just always thought that was such a cool way that the Arkham games did it. And it's neat to see it here too.
Yeah, especially because you get rewarded for it too, not just with more story stuff, but by the time you get there, you probably have the access to the lockers that you need, like the level 1, 2, 3 or master.
Yes. Right.
So you're kind of getting a little bit extra stuff on the way, so it actually is worth it. So, yeah, I'm digging it. I love that they kept the title chapters. I will kind of keep.
I've been tracking that to see if it was correct. I'm like, so far, yes, it is.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with what that is, there's a little hidden Easter egg in the title. That's all I'll say. But that's kind of how I'm keeping track of how far in the game I am, just because I know what that is.
Because you know how to spell.
Yeah, I know how to spell. Unlike my students. What?
Oh, burn, Scott.
I mean, they have a terrible teacher.
No, I'm sure you're a wonderful teacher.
So what else you been playing or catching up on there, Alyssa?
I've also still been playing Fire Emblem. I haven't gotten to play in a few days because of another game I'll talk about later. Uh-huh. But I am up to about chapter 9, which is not saying much because this game has 26 chapters. But I just keep getting
a good chunk.
I keep getting distracted by these side. They're not really side quests, but they're side battles called skirmishes. And I'm just trying to level up my my cavalry. And that's just making the game last longer and longer and longer, but I'm like, I need to be OP. And plus, when you do the battles...
grinding.
Yeah. So when you finish the battles, you're in the area, and then you can adopt the animals.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, it's grinding, and then I'm like, yay, I can adopt all the animals now. Because once you give, I think, 1,000 coins to the country, you can adopt all the animals. I went on a tangent about this before, so I won't say it again.
I remember the tangent, yeah.
But I'm still really enjoying it. Animations are great. I'm getting more members in my team, and it's just, the combat's a lot of fun. I just really like the style of turn-based combat that they use.
Nice. I think Zach mentioned it last week as well, but I really like the look of that game, too. It's a very pretty game.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. It makes Pokemon... those recent Pokemon games look really bad by comparison.
That's so sad. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm loving Dead Space. Can't
right,
stop playing.
I beat Dead Space, so I think it's worth $70. That's my take.
Wow, that's quite a change from last week.
Yeah, well, I think especially as they ramp up the zero-G sections and stuff, dude, it's a great little remake.
It is, yeah. And I like having Isaac talk. Just, it's nice. Instead of just having him stand there and when people are talking to him.
Oh, yeah, and it just feels so natural to me. It doesn't.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously the whole thing's been rewritten, but it just feels like that's the way it should have been.
It does.
I mean, it never like bothered me when I played it originally, but like having those conversations and him just not saying anything back. How come none of them are like, so you got anything to say there? Or
Well, and it really plays in him being an engineer too, because in the original game they would tell you, fix the thrusters or whatever. But in this one, they're like, yeah, I don't know what to do about this asteroid. He's like, well, I think if we reroute the power to the thrusters, we can get rid of it. And it just makes him a little bit more proactive, and it sells him as the engineer of the group a little bit more, which is super cool.
plus it amps the danger a little bit more too, because the other person often will be like, that's a bad idea. You're going to get killed. And he's like, that's all we got to do. And I'm going with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
As he says in Dead Space 2, stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
That's a great line.
Sure is.
So does anything narratively happen different? Or is it, like, do I have any surprises coming for me? Or is it just the same?
Yeah,
I think there is one somewhat, it's a small twist on a familiar twist.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a weird way to describe it, but I'm trying not to give anything away. They play a little with the big twist. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
And it's kind of interesting. Might be handled even a little bit better, honestly.
Okay.
So,
I'm excited.
I think the $70, for this remake obviously comes down to the individual, but for me, if it wasn't gifted to me by a friend and I had paid $70 for it, I'd be thrilled. It's a great game. I can't wait to jump back in.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
When I'm not playing
especially
about
with
it,
New Game
I'm
Plus.
thinking about it.
Right. Well, I understand. I understand where you're coming from.
I know you
It's
were that
weird
way
that-
in Red Dead.
Yes.
It's weird that it's so hard to put down, considering I've played it so many times. Because I know what's going to happen.
That's
what I
what's
mean?
interesting about it. Yeah, because it feels familiar, but I guess it feels fresh enough.
Yeah. It's like riding a bike, getting back on riding a bike.
Right.
But I don't even know how to use that analogy. But anyway.
Did you know what is awesome, graphically speaking, is when you go into 0G, your suit ices up. And when you come back up, your suit looks all wet because of all the melted ice. It's pretty
That's
awesome.
it.
It looks cool. I don't know.
Little details that a lot of people are not going to pick up on, but very cool. I love it. Okay. Those are the games we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. A couple new trailers to talk about. Well, one trailer and one gameplay video. First off, a game called Steel Seed. It's coming in 2024, so we got a little bit of ways, but it will be on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series S and X. Looks really interesting. We also got 13 minutes of gameplay from the Resident Evil 4 remake, and that releases on March 24th. I feel like it's just remake season between Dead Space and Resident Evil, but hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah, well, as we'll talk about later, it seems to be the only way we can get single-player games.
That's true. Also, lots of games are being shut down or delisted in the near future. It just seemed like a bummer of a week in that regards. Also, it sounds like maybe Sony could be hinting at a new game in the Uncharted franchise. And lastly, Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been delayed by 6 weeks. Alyssa, where do you want to start?
We'll just address the fact that there could possibly be a new game in the Uncharted franchise, even though earlier Neil Druckmann did say that Naughty Dog was done with Uncharted.
And as I said when we talked about that story, I bet he did say that. Just because Naughty Dog's done does not mean Sony's done.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much potential story-wise with Nate's daughter, spoiler, Nate's daughter picking up the torch, literally and figuratively.
Right.
Well, speaking of... go ahead.
For those that haven't seen it, it's this commercial that's weirdly fun for PlayStation.
It was. I loved it.
Because they don't believe in fun anymore. But it was this newscaster talking about PlayStation. The desk was a controller or a PlayStation. It was pretty fun. But every single clip was first-party games that we already know about, except for this blonde woman in a cave approaching an ancient artifact carrying a torch in the dark.
Right.
Yes.
So clearly not Lara.
No.
Which isn't a first-party title anyway.
Right. Yeah, so this is Uncharted 5. I don't think there's any question.
It sure seems that way, but why would they do that? Why would they
Well,
Because they know how people pick apart trailers and commercials and stuff like that, frame by frame.
Right. Well, I think it was a considered media control choice to have Neil Druckmann say like, "Hey, we're done with Uncharted," right when you knew this ad was hitting, because they probably already had the ad shot, filmed, and lined up or whatever, and they're like, "Well, actually, we're not ready to announce this Uncharted game yet." And then, but they knew the ad was going to come out anyway. They already paid for it. You're going to want to run it, and then you just be like, "Hey, Neil, can you just make sure to mention that like Uncharted's done, so people get thrown off the set?"
Well, what also could be happening is Naughty Dog again may not be developing it because was it Ben Studio that there was another studio that made the one on the Vita and then
it was Ben made Golden Abyss.
So
on Vita,
they could be making one, or a different studio could be taking over the franchise, possibly.
Yeah, my money's still on whatever's going on at Sony San Diego. Because they hired a bunch of narrative consultants and single player designers, which you don't really need for baseball games. So I think there's
That's
a
true.
second, So that's my guess. I feel like Ben. I think you'd have to put a gun to Ben's head to make an Uncharted game.
Why?
Remember how they made Uncharted Golden Abyss, which they had talked before about like that's not what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put out Days Gone, which is this huge sales hit, but Sony decides that they don't care about it anyway. And then they tried to make Ben remake The Last of Us, if you remember that story.
Mm-mm.
And then their studio head just straight up like refused. So I just feel like making an Uncharted game, like you're going to throw us Naughty Dog scraps yet again.
Yeah.
After you threw away our game, our zombie, you're going to throw away our zombie franchise that was a hit and then you're going to make us work on theirs, and now you're going to make us work on their other franchise. I don't think so.
I did not remember that history of it, but
I
would feel pretty slighted if I were in that position. So who would you like?
Ultimately, PlayStation is their boss, so you can only say no to them so many times.
Right.
But
who would you like to see take over the franchise? Or who do you hope is the developer of this game that we don't know about?
I guess Sony San Diego. I don't really know who else in their portfolio would work.
Yeah, I don't either.
Blue Point,
all
maybe?
Right.
Because Blue Point said they wanted to make a new game, but they didn't want to make a new franchise.
You're still hanging on to that Bloodborne 2 thing from Blue Point, right?
Dude, it's coming. You'll see. You'll see.
I mean, it feels very possible.
What about you, Zach? Any of these stories intrigue you at all? I know one's going to bum you out.
What, Jedi Survivor being delayed?
Yeah.
Doesn't really bum me out. I mean, it's just, I don't trust any first release date I hear anymore.
I don't
either.
Not for AAA games. No.
There's no way.
Indie games, sure.
Like Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 coming out in December? No chance.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Does anybody actually believe that?
0% chance you're going to get 2 major Final Fantasy numbered releases in the same year.
It's kind of sad that we all are like, when we first hear a release, they were like, it's not coming then. We all just disregard
I just wish they would stop. I wish they would just stop announcing release dates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they should do. What was the game that just came out recently that just Hi-Fi Rush Shadow Drop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Like, if you tell me you're making a game, and then 3 months before it's supposed to come out, I'll be like, okay, this is the locked date now.
Right.
So I don't have to. Because what if, what if you took a day off of work?
That happened with you, didn't it, Zach?
Well, it happened with Gotham Knights. Yeah, where they weirdly pushed up the date. Where I taken the week off for the game, and then they moved the release date. Kind of screwed me on my plans there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, it's just kind of.
Plus, in the world that we live in, like back when this was a bigger deal, you needed that time to spread the word. I feel like word spreads like wildfire now with the internet and social media.
Oh yeah,
right. You looked at Hi-Fi Rush's success alone.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but a lot of people are talking about it.
It charted in the sales.
Really?
Which is crazy for a game that is ostensibly included in every Xbox user subscription.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about it, but I have lots of good things to say about it.
You and everybody else, it would seem.
Yeah, that was like, definitely a surprise.
Was it Fallout 4 where they just like announced it 4 months before it came out?
Yeah, I was just going to say that one, and I love that. Like a massive game like that, they really keep that long of a secret.
Well, and it's okay as a fan because the whole time you're like, yeah, of course they're making Fallout 4.
Right.
You don't need to know.
Like we know they're making Fallout 5. May not have started on it yet, but we know it's coming. So
right after Elder Scrolls 6, so you can Fallout 5 in 2037.
12 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. No, I mean, like you said, I'm pretty much not even taking these release dates seriously. But honestly, it doesn't even bother me anymore when it does happen. Because as excited as I am for Jedi Survivor, there's always something to play. So waiting another month is not that big a deal. But I feel like that's also part of being old. Because there's always something to play. I always have something to catch up on or something I would like to go back and play again, which, as you guys know, is something I'm trying to do this year. So, it doesn't bother me. Wait until for 6 weeks. That's a month and a half.
Right.
It's not a long wait.
And the end of April looks like a lot more breathing room than the middle of March as well.
Yep.
And let's just give a quick shout out to EA, formerly the most evil company in the world, that this pushes it out of their fiscal quarter and year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually when companies want to rush things out, but they're willing to take the hit. So that's pretty cool. That's good for them. That would not have been EA even 4 years ago, would not have made that decision.
Oh, for sure.
I agree. So yeah, the new release date is April 28th. I mean, we're all going to play it. Zach will definitely play it.
Yeah.
Oh, I will too.
If you remember, that was his favorite game of all time for a couple weeks, if you remember.
Yeah, if you go all the way back to that episode.
For a couple weeks.
Yeah. I got caught up in the excitement. There's no question.
It's all good. I want to talk briefly about these games that are being shut down or delisted in the future. Starting with Xbox 360, which I don't remember the last time I turned on my Xbox 360, although I may be doing it here in the near future. CB showed me his copy of Singularity that he got in the mail on Thursday. So, by the way, speaking of Singularity, remember how he talked last week how he played it on the Steam Deck, but it was unplayable on the Steam Deck? It's playable on the Steam Deck. He didn't change any of the controller settings, so he was playing it as if he were a mouse and keyboard.
Oh, well.
No.
So
good job, CB.
Yeah, so I returned it. It's no longer on sale, so I'm just going to have to wait for that one to come on sale again or play it on Xbox, which is totally fine. So anyway, there are 45 games from the Xbox 360 that are going to be removed from the marketplace starting on February 7th. Some of those games include Mass Effect 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Call of Duty Ghosts, some pretty big titles in there. But the thing that people need to know that this doesn't mean that they're not going to be playable on newer hardware. So you might still be able to purchase them on your Xbox Series X or S or even Xbox One. And also, if you've purchased them before, you'll still be able to download them. You just won't be able to purchase them again, which is better, because I know that's always been an argument for physical over digital, is that, you always have the game and can always play it. They could just pull the rug out whenever you want. They're not necessarily pulling the rug out if you bought it. You just won't have the ability to buy it, which I don't get. I mean, I guess it's because who uses the marketplace on Xbox 360? Maybe there are people out there. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine a lot. How many Mass Effect 2s are sold digitally on Xbox 360 in the past year?
I can't even imagine any physically were sold, especially when there's like the trilogy all in one thing. So
that's 2 generations ago. I'm not, of course, I'm sure there are people still playing. I just can't imagine there's a lot.
No. But even more surprising were things that were being shut down, like Knockout City. Do you remember when you and I played that one for a weekend, Zach?
Oh, that's the dodgeball one, right?
Yeah. Which was kind of cool. We're not multiplayer guys, so it didn't really stick with us. But that's gone. Rumbleverse is shutting down on February 28th. That surprises me like crazy.
As soon as I saw the first trailer, I thought that game was going to get shut down for sure.
Really?
Yes.
That
game had failure written all over it, in my opinion.
It's weird you say that because I've never played it. I can't speak to it. But I hear people talk about that game on podcasts all the time. Like highly. Like they like it. They're playing it with their kids. They're having a really good time with it. And some of those same people are now genuinely disappointed and really upset that they're not going to be able to play it anymore.
Well, it turns out they were the whole community.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Also, Apex Legends Mobile shut down on May 1st. Battlefield Mobile is shutting down even before it launches. That game didn't even make it.
Sign.
And this one's probably not a surprise, but Crossfire X will shut down on May 18th. So, I don't know.
That's the scummiest one of all. Just as, I know we're a pro Xbox podcast, according to a lot of people, but this is one of the dirtiest moves I've seen in a while, because they're taking the single-player campaigns away, too.
Oh, that sucks.
I didn't know that. Really?
I didn't either.
because you have to be on. You have to be online. You have to be always online when you're playing it. So they said the single player campaigns are also going to be sunsetted with the game itself.
Wow. And that's when you had to pay money for it.
Right. There were. I think the first one was included in your Game Pass if you had, but then the campaigns 2 and 3, I think you had to pay for. Yeah, and you just can't play them at all anymore. So that's really scummy.
It is. Yeah.
Go physical media, I guess.
Yeah, They didn't sell that one on a disc, did they?
I don't know. Maybe you're totally right.
You always had to be always online with it, even if you had the disc.
Exactly. Even if they had the disc, it'd be useless. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So go digital. Yay.
Sure.
I'm still digital. I don't even know why I have the drive on my thing anymore. I guess
it
because I can
comes
play
with
the older games.
It comes with a Series X, right? You don't have a choice.
If you
the
get
drive?
Yeah, if you get the Series X, it comes with the drive. The S does not have one.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I just I thought this was kind of a weird coincidence considering what we're going to be talking about for our topic of the week, because almost all of these things, I mean, outside of the 360 games, which are not really being gone, they're just, you're not going to be able to purchase them on an old platform anymore. I mean, I guess this would be akin to being upset about not being able to purchase games on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we upset we can't buy games on the Wii U anymore or 3DS?
Kind of. The Virtual Console was awesome.
Well, yeah. I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy paying my $10 a month or $10 a year for a Nintendo Switch Online expansion with the sharing.
With our family plan.
Yeah, dude, that's great.
Thanks, Daddy.
Speaking of, I need to start getting a kickback from Nintendo. I'm pretty sure I sold about 3 Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack subscriptions at parent-teacher conferences on Thursday.
Because of the family plan aspect?
Yeah, like, because I have a Switch in my classroom, I have a TV there, and whenever I have conferences, I always set it up so that when they have little brothers and sisters that are there, they can kind of have something to keep them occupied while we have a conference. And one of the moms was like, "Man, I love the video games, but I just miss the old ones. I want to play like the old Mario and all this." And I was like, "Well, you can with the Nintendo." So I just showed her the whole catalog, and she said Super Mario World, so I showed up Super Mario World, and she's like, "No, this isn't the one." And so I pulled up the Nintendo one, and I said, "This is Super Mario Brothers." She's like, "No, I don't think this is it either." She wanted to play the original Mario Brothers.
Oh,
like with the pipes and the one that CB asked me if I knew what game it was last week.
Right, yeah.
That's what she wanted to play. So she sat there and played Mario Brothers for a little bit before she left. And I pulled it up and showed her how much it was online. I'm pretty sure she bought it. So
that's pretty cool. I don't know how she filled out all the entry fields since the parents can't read either, but it's nice that you showed her.
Wow. No, this was a good mom. I'm going to get myself in trouble because I have listeners.
I'm sorry, I'm contributing to the trouble.
Well,
I'm laughing at it.
I made the joke. Apropos of nothing. Thank you very much.
Zach always makes me laugh. It doesn't matter what he says.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to get my royalty checks from Nintendo because
it's got to be. Yeah, you had to have earned what, 30 cents?
Yeah, right. Not to mention the number of Switch Sports copies I've probably sold at this point, because that's like what they play in my classroom more than anything. That and Smash Brothers. And we actually had people over at our house last night for a poker party, and some of them brought their kids, and I set up Switch Sports for them in the living room, and they played for 3 hours straight, mostly tennis, just having a blast doing it. And then their mom was watching them, and she's like, "Yeah, we need to get this." So, yeah, I'm just selling copies of games, man. But anyway, that is the week's news. I want to remind everybody very quickly about how you can help contribute to the Gaming Outsider. If you like what you're listening to and would like to maybe get some more content, you can do so at our Patreon page. That's where you can contribute money monthly as a donation to help us keep the lights on over here, but also to help us do some awesome giveaways for the community. Mentioned Dead Space a little while ago. We purchased that with Patreon funds so that we could review it, and then we turn around and give it away to the community. And as you guys have seen, that game eventually starts getting passed around to people, and that's awesome. But we don't keep the money for ourselves. We don't pay ourselves a dime. But it does help us to keep the show going, and we do appreciate it. And if you do contribute at the $3 per month level, you get a bonus episode each month. At the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes each month. And we just really appreciate the help. And speaking of episodes, I have been recording a spoiler cast for the HBO series The Last of Us. I've been doing that with John Davenport over at The Hollywood Outsider and his buddy Eli, although last week I did it with Troy Heinritz because Eli was out ill. That has been a lot of fun. He's calling it the half-hour power hour, and we're going to be doing that again tonight for episode 4. So stay tuned for those. And also, Kevin stopped by to talk to us about the Beginner's Guide to D&D. If you've ever been interested in starting a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, he kind of gives you the basics, tells us how it works, and gives you some pointers on getting your own group together to do some D&D action, and I highly recommend it. If any of those episodes sound interesting, or maybe our Break the Seal episodes, maybe our games that aren't for us, or any of our spoiler casts or legacy episodes, those are all available to you if you sign up now. You don't just get the new stuff, you get everything we've done for the past 5-6 years right at your fingertips. Bonus content, it's great. Oh, and our Desert Island Games episodes. We got to do another one of those, Zach. We got to find another victim to come talk to us about their favorite games.
Victim.
But again, if those sound interesting, the website is patreon.com/thegocast, and sign up today. Now let's go ahead and move on to the games that we've actually been playing. Zach, this week's list is definitely bigger than last week's.
Right, yeah, we finally entered the February that we had feared previously.
Yeah.
But starting right off the bat with what's sure to be a quiet week on Twitter with the release of Hogwarts Legacy. PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC February 10th. Boy, that's going to be a real conversation, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have thoughts, but I will keep them not here.
Yeah. My thought is the more they show off the game, the more boring it looks.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I feel like, I think someone made a tweet that said Hogwarts Legacy is looking more and more like Destiny 2, and they're trying to quietly hide that fact until it releases.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that menu picture, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it sure does look like every other game's menu.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the combat just looks so boring. But anyway, that comes out the 10th. Repentant, a crime story, comes to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One February 10th. Cute little game Blanc comes to Switch and PC February 10th. 10 Dates, the latest FMV release, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android on February 14th. You can play that wherever things are played. Labyrinth of Galleria, The Moon Society, comes to PS5, PS4, Switch, PC February 14th. Game to definitely avoid, Journey to the Savage Planet, makes its next-gen debut on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles February 14th.
That was a Stadia game, right?
Was it?
I think it did. Yeah, I think it launched on Stadia alongside some other consoles. I can't remember.
Oh, I thought it was exclusive to Stadia, I thought.
Oh, it may have been at one point.
I remember playing it at E3, and even the lead developer didn't seem interested.
Wow.
Souls of Kronos comes to PS5, Switch, and PC February 14th. Just in time for Lara Croft's birthday, Tomb Raider Reloaded comes to iOS and Android February 14th. Wanted Dead, a action game that is a throwback to the PS2 era, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC February 14th. Pharaoh, A New Era, comes to PC in February 15th, which I guess is a God game that's being remastered. Returnal comes off of PS5 and onto PC February 15th. Shadow Warrior 3 gets its next-gen debut on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles February 16th. Roguelike twin-stick shooter Dust and Neon comes to Switch and PC February 16th. That is, you play a cowboy who is a robot in that game.
Yes.
Speaking of cowboys, Wild West Dynasty, where you get to make your own little Wild West town, comes to PC February 16th. Wild Hearts comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC February 16th. Time traveling story Loopers comes to PS4 February 16th. Pinball FX, this is I believe the super shady, super scummy one where you can't bring in your old tables. Comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC February 16th. And then Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line comes to PS4 and Switch February 16th. Boy, that's a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
What's looking the most exciting, Scott?
I mean, do you have to ask?
I have a feeling.
Kinda.
I mean, so I'm getting less and less interested in Hogwarts Legacy. I'm gonna play it because I know CB is picking it up or has already pre-ordered it. So I'm gonna be checking it out, but I don't think I'm gonna play it for long. There's just other things I'd rather be playing, especially like you said, the combat just looks like whatever. It just
yeah, and then like the open world design also looks a little meh.
Yeah. But no, I mean, as much as I've been complaining about it, Pinball FX coming to consoles finally. If you're not familiar, Pinball FX 3 has been a thing on current consoles for like forever. And yes, like Zach mentioned, you cannot bring your tables to the new one because it is apparently a brand new engine.
Right, they can't even give you a discount apparently.
Well, they can.
Okay.
I did some research today to learn a little bit more about it when I saw your list, and they said that they are going to be offering discounts for longtime people, like for the first couple weeks, but just the first couple weeks. So, which is cool, but at the same time, if I wanted to get the discount on my entire library of 99 tables that I own, it still would cost me like $200-300 probably if I were to do that, which I'm not going to do.
This also feels a little like a correction because I'm 99% sure when they announced it that was not the case.
And they said that on the, they had a whole little article that I read today. It's on their website, on Pinball FX's website or Zen Studio's website, that said they actually also made the decision to allow people to buy the games. It wasn't going to be an option. This was going to be a subscription-only model originally, where you paid like a monthly or an annual subscription to have access to all the tables. And they got so much pushback from the community that they decided to nix that, because that's what they've been doing with the early access PC version, and people didn't like it. So they're now allowing you to purchase tables or table packs. So that's better. The thing for me, I'm not going to go back and repurchase all those old tables because that's just way too much money to spend on pinball, even though I love pinball. However, the tables, they've released new tables on this new iteration of Pinball FX, but it's only been on PC up to this point. So there is quite a few brand new tables that I have yet to play. So I will be picking up those, when this releases. One of the big ones is the Addams Family table, which is based on the actual Addams Family. It's one of the best pinball tables ever made. So that'll be there, and there's a whole bunch of. There's a Snoopy one. There's a My Little Pony one. I know.
I think it's just a bummer to see what was an indie studio and they obviously cared about pinball and stuff like that. And now they're owned by the Embracer Group. All of a sudden, you're seeing these subscription models and you can't upgrade, no upgrade path.
Right.
Just seems like some real corporate maneuvering.
Yeah. I get it. But like I said, I'm not going to buy all the old ones. I might buy like one of my. There's a Star Wars table that is my absolute favorite table. I may buy the pack that one's in just because I want to see what the new engine actually looks like with a familiar table, and I'll buy the new ones as well. But I'll just wait for packs of the other ones like to go on sale randomly, because I can go play them on Pinball FX3. But there's also something. Go ahead.
You're gonna have two iterations of Pinball FX installed on your console.
I mean, I have two. I've got Pinball FX2 and Pinball FX3. But I was able to transfer my tables from Pinball FX2 to Pinball FX3, so I'm really going to have three versions. That's a lot of talk about pinball. I don't know if people don't care, but this is
you're a pinball fiend.
There is something neat about the idea of just resetting the leaderboards. I mean, because, everyone starts at 0 again is kind of a cool thing. That's what happened with Pinball FX2 to Pinball FX3, and it kind of made me mad at first, but it was fun, like, It was a reason to go back and play those old tables I hadn't touched in forever. You know what I mean?
To make sure you were beating all your friends?
Yeah, well, it's just one friend in particular that we do the thing where when one of us beats a score, we take a picture of it and text it to each other and be like, your move. Your move, holy man.
Wow.
That was a Dane Cook reference. No? Nothing? Okay. Anyway, Alyssa, what about you? What do you want to play off this list?
There are about 3 I want to check out. 10 Dates, unsurprisingly, looks very interesting to me because it's FMV and also
It's FMV and it's about dating.
Yeah, it's like a dating simulator. So 2 in 1 for me. Wanted Dead looks really awesome. I know Zach is very excited for that one.
Hell yeah!
I had never heard of that until Zach mentioned it, and I looked at the trailer and I was like, "That's a Zach game."
The trailer is incredible,
dude. They have they did a whole video on just their finishing kills where they have like 60 animations, and they have an algorithm that makes sure you don't see the same ones too often and stuff.
Oh, really?
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm pretty excited. They have like stunt people, like Hollywood stuntmen come in to help design the stunts. I don't know. It just looks like some really dumb fun. I can't wait.
Nice.
It does look like a lot of fun. And I really love the Theater Rhythm games on 3DS, so I do want to play Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I don't know if I'll get it immediately, but I do want to play it because I really enjoy those games.
We're all going to download Tomb Raider Reloaded, right?
I do want to play that as well.
Yeah.
Because I gotta support my girl.
Hell yeah.
In any iteration.
That's right. We can share. That's fine.
Scott's face.
This got awkward.
Scott can watch.
Wow.
We make things awkward for Scott. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Timestamp. Awkward pause.
Well, maybe you should just fast forward to the future, huh, Scott?
Wow. Yeah. Maybe you should.
Because Alyssa's been playing Season of the Letter to the Future on PS5, which is a bicycling game. It looks like a lot of fun, though.
It's a very unique experience. I had a blast playing it, but it's so much more than what it appears to be in the trailer. I don't really want to give spoilers or anything, but you play as a woman named Estelle, and the world is just sectioned into seasons, so you don't really know how long a season is. But the current season's ending, and it's been prophesied that there's going to be this huge cataclysmic event that basically wipes out the majority of living creatures. And Estelle and her mom do this ritual where you as Estelle have to pick 5 things from your house that evoke each of the 5 senses. You melt it into a pendant, but it means your mom loses her memories. But that ensures that Estelle will survive the ending of the season. So then Estelle gets on her bicycle, which you can choose from 3 different bicycles. Pink, blue, or yellow, I believe. I obviously chose pink.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And you leave your small little village that you've never left, and you're just traveling through this world. And at any time, you can stop, you can take pictures of anything you want to, you can record audio samples, and along the way, there are branching paths, and you can totally skip those if you want to, but it really does shape your story, because if you go on the branching path, you can meet people that you would never meet if you just went on the straight and narrow path, and they have incredible stories. They're heart-wrenching. You see them try to come to terms with the fact that the season's ending. And there are also some central mysteries that you can completely skip over, never solve those mysteries, never even know about them, that just add more to the story. And it's really, you shape your own experience, and you do that by obviously going on the side paths and encountering these characters, or by customizing your journal that you have, because you're keeping a journal to document what you're seeing so that maybe someone in the future can learn what happened during that season. And it's just, you customize the journal, you can lay everything out, you can make it really nice and pretty, or you can kind of just make a jumbled mess, or make it as sparse or detailed as you want. It's just really, really cool. And it went a lot deeper than I thought it was going to with what it portrayed.
I'm intrigued by what you're talking about in the story, because everything that you're talking about, like cataclysmic event prophesied and 5 items to melt to make a pendant to keep her alive, that sounds like medieval almost, but from the trailer and the shots, it looks modern.
It's kind of a mixture of older times and present day. Like, they do specify the year is in, like, the close to 800, but you never really know what that year is, if that's before now, after now. So it feels both old and new, and it's really interesting.
It sounds like you really liked it. I mean, I think you gave it a 9, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I did. Yeah, I think it's a really wonderful story. I think some people may not appreciate it the way it should be, just because you do kind of have to find these narrative beats if you want to really flesh out the full story. And also just the fact that, it is a slow game, because you do just ride your bike around and you stop when you want to stop and you take pictures, and that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you're up for that, if you're up for an atmospheric, very narrative driven story, Season is a really wonderful game and something that's really unique, and I haven't seen a game of this caliber in a very long time.
Now, despite its apocalyptic nature, is it as relaxing as it looks? Just biking around and kind of seeing the world?
It's just beautiful, and there is a piece to it. Even though you're alone the majority of the time, just hearing the wildlife in the distance, and even just hearing the wind rushing past when you're on your bicycle is very relaxing. And even though you are alone, you don't feel lonely. It's just comforting.
It definitely feels like one of those slice of life games, like Zach talked about with the mail delivery game.
Lake.
Yeah,
Lake. It reminds me like that. But one of the things that intrigued me about your review, which is on the site right now, it made us sound like you just kind of create your own story. Like it doesn't say like you just make stuff happen, and it sounds like it just kind of happens organically. Like it almost feels like you're not jumping through narrative hoops that the game presents you. You actually have to kind of discover it and make these things happen yourself. Is that right?
That's right. There's only about, I think, 3 events that the narrative fills in for you. The rest is just up to you and you're exploring. That's how you just uncover the story elements. I mean, you could only have those 3 major events in your playthrough if you don't want to explore, or you could have a bunch of different branching paths and experiences with different characters, and they shape your story. So I highly recommend, if you do play this game, to, if you would like, go explore, take your time, just absorb this world in.
Just be.
Yeah, just be there. Take your time, just relax, and just live in this world for as long as you can.
I think it sounds delightful.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I mean, you review lots of narrative-driven games like this, Alyssa, and I don't mean that, I'm not talking about them negatively, because I think they always sound fascinating. I just never get to them. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm always trying to play whatever big action story game I'm playing. Yours are more focused on just the narrative, and less on intense gameplay, which I sometimes crave more than just the narrative aspect of it. But I'm gonna take you up on one of these, and this might have to be the one, because this sounds really, really interesting. How long did it take?
It took me close to 5 hours, but I've seen different time estimates. I've seen, if you just kind of rush everything, 2 hours. If you really just want to stop and take your time and pretty much photograph everything in the game, up to 12 hours. It's really just according to how you want to play it.
Sounds good. That is Season, A Letter to the Future, and you're playing that on PS5, but it is also available elsewhere, correct?
PS4 and PC as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think that game looks cool. But what I assume is not a relaxing time is more of a rock and roll ballad. Hi-Fi Rush guy you've been playing. This is the talk of the town, I feel like, online.
Oh, yeah.
Probably helped by its shadow drop nature.
Yeah, I wish more people would pay attention to how effective that actually can be. And
right.
It felt like a much needed win for Microsoft too. They needed something good, because they haven't had anything exclusive for a while.
This Halo Infinite, maybe?
Maybe. You could be right. I hope I'm not, but
I feel like that's at least the most notable one. I can't think of another exclusive since then.
Right. I mean, I think Tunic, but wasn't that was only like a 3-month window or something.
Right.
Yeah, and then it migrated to other consoles.
Yeah. But anyway, Hi-Fi Rush. Big first party drop.
It was. It is so much fun. I am shocked at just how much of this is one of those put a smile on your face kind of games, at least for a person like me. And the first thing I want to mention, which I think will be a big draw for you, Zach, I am in love with the animation in this game. Have either of you played it or looked at it?
I haven't played it, but I watched the trailer and I fell in love with the graphics as soon as I watched the trailer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't play it on my ancient Xbox.
Oh,
that's a bummer. I watched the trailer when they released it, and I really appreciated like the vibrant art style and just like how flashy everything looked. But when you actually play it and watch the cutscenes, there is something about the animation that I'm just drawn to. It reminds me of, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because I didn't love the movie, but it reminds me of the animation from Into the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales movie, where it's meant to look like comic book style almost. It's not as prominent in this one, where like it almost has like that stutter. It's much more subtle than that film, but the animation itself, it looks hand drawn, but the way that the characters talk and everything and move, it looks so detailed. It looks too good to have been hand drawn. So I can't really tell how it was done, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like I'm watching a Saturday morning cartoon, or at least what my mind remembers Saturday morning cartoons looking like.
I mean,
when I was a kid.
The trailer gave total Saturday morning cartoon vibes.
Yeah, and it does throughout. It's great. The gameplay is perfect for me. It's rhythm based, as you guys know. It takes a minute to wrap your head around because the world plays like the movie Baby Driver.
okay.
Have you guys ever seen Baby Driver?
I love that
Of course. Everything, all the action is played to the beat.
movie.
Everything is played to the beat. Like in that movie, someone is counting money. It's going in beat with the music. Like every action in the background is completely going in time with whatever music is going on.
There's an awesome shootout to Tequila.
Yes.
Man, I need to see that movie again. That movie is so good. It just felt like not like an Edgar Wright film at all, and I loved it. Anyway, so everything in this world is constantly going in beat with whatever music is in the background, and I'm talking licensed music. Now, you're not going to get like anything on the radio right now, but I did just fight a boss that played a Nine Inch Nails song while I was playing the boss. That was a fun surprise. They actually do like remember the old music videos where they would put the name of the artist or the song and the name of the artist and like what record label and all that kind of stuff? Yeah.
That's so cool.
Super.
That reminds me of my
Dude,
childhood.
I can't wait for this game to get delisted in 4 years due to licensing rights.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was wondering about that since they have actual like music. Not wording it correctly.
We understand.
Licensed music.
Yes, like what happened with Alan Wake originally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I imagine that, with a game like Alan Wake, they probably didn't have that set up. I'll bet you the contracts are a lot more complicated nowadays. I would, after things like that. But anyway, so the gameplay is also rhythm based. The nice thing is that all the music is in 4/4 time signature, so you're not going to have any like goofy swing beats or anything like that. It's just always a rock beat, like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. And the thing that they've done brilliantly with the combat is, you would think that, because obviously in the trailer you're supposed to make your connections in beat with the music, right? The cool thing that the game does is that even if you don't hit on time with the music, he still hits in beat with the music.
Okay.
So even if you mess up, it doesn't mess up the flow of it. You just won't get as high of a score multiplier, or you won't do as much damage. But it still lands. It just will say like miss or whatever. So like you're never getting thrown off of the rhythm or anything like that, which is really cool. And it works as simple as, like, if you've got two attacks, you've got a light attack and a heavy attack. So they do a really good job of training you how to do it. You start by hitting your light attacks on beat with the music, and then it'll eventually give you a circle, like a QTE, where the bigger circle has to match the smaller circle, and then you hit it again, and it does does bonus damage. Then you do the same thing with the heavy attacks. But then you have to start learning these combos where you have to start syncopating the rhythm. So you can no longer just go 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to start doing like 1, 0, 3, 4. 1, 0, 3, 4. And then you start incorporating melee or light attacks with heavy attacks. So it's like light, nothing, heavy, heavy. You know what I mean? Like, and it gets nuts. So it almost becomes
this sounds tricky for someone rhythmically challenged.
Well, I mean, the rhythm, I suppose it could be. I mean, the tricky part is memorizing the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not going to get nearly as intricate as like those combos on like the Dead or Alive games. Remember those back in the day?
Yeah.
Like 15. It's not like that bad, but like you just wind up button mashing and hoping you get it right, just kind of doing combinations. But you do unlock more of these combos as you go on, and it's really fun to see what they do because everyone just feels awesome when you land them. You've got a special attack. You collect these like batteries that fill up one of your meters, and you press both sticks, and he does a special attack. That's always fun. You can earn new ones of that too, just like in God of War. You get one that replenishes your health. I'm using that one because that's my playstyle. I am really in love with this game, guys. Really enjoying it, because it doesn't. If I'm playing on normal difficulty, and I feel like you could still have a good time with this game, even if you aren't rhythmically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're still gonna be able to get there. You're just not gonna get there as quickly as if you had done it on beat with the music. You're still gonna land attacks. You just may have to land more attacks than you would if you hadn't landed them on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the game alone is just gorgeous and hilarious. It's this goofy story. You were a kid that is starting his first day on the job for this company. It starts with V, but it's not Vought. That's Vandalay. It's Vandalay. And the CEO gets up and gives this powerful message, and then he goes away, and you're starting your first day, and you're super excited, and you go in this assembly line, and you go to get whatever implant thing that the company is giving you, and your iPod accidentally falls on your chest while you're strapped down, and your iPod gets imprinted inside your body. So it's kind of like Iron Man's,
as happens, of course.
Yeah. So you basically have Iron Man's arc reactor, but instead there's an iPod there, and so you constantly have this beat going in your chest. That's what the thing is about.
It's because the music is in the heart of all of us.
There you go. That's
very
poetic,
deep.
man.
Thank you.
And but just even like your idle animation when you're not attacking, he's just standing there like snapping his fingers and beat with the music and tapping his foot. Like he's just constantly moving. He never stands still. It's great. I'm enjoying just the cute Saturday morning vibe of this game. The boss fights are a lot more intricate than you would expect them to be. Play Hi-Fi Rush, especially if you have Game Pass. There's no reason not to give it a shot.
It seems seems so much a Scott Clark game.
I would. I mean, outside of the music aspect of it, it's the animations remind me of Sunset Overdrive.
Oh yeah.
Just like the super bright, colorful, and plus, I mean, it probably doesn't help that they like the way you replenish your energy is energy drinks that are dispensed to you by a refrigerator that gives you tutorials. I'm not making that up.
Is it the Xbox refrigerator?
No, that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been so cool.
It's really funny because this refrigerator gives you the tutorials on how to do your attacks and then says, now practice on me. He's just like really excited about you practicing your moves on him. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
His weapon is a guitar, but it's not like a real guitar. It like when one of the first enemies that explodes, like your arc reactor just like absorbs all the pieces of metal around you and forms this makeshift guitar, like a flying V guitar, and that's like your melee weapon. It's stupid, like in a good way. I'm totally digging it. Hi-Fi Rush, play it. It's really good. All right. Real quick, I want to give everybody another reminder of our social media outlets. We've got a Facebook group, which can be found at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. Also, our Discord community is live and thriving, and the link for that is in the show notes for this episode. Also, if you get a chance, drop us a review on iTunes. I really would appreciate it. It helps us get the word out about the Gaming Outsider, and because we would love for more people to be able to enjoy these episodes. And speaking of, we do have a review this week. I almost didn't want to read it. Maybe if CB were here, I probably wouldn't.
It's very Scott Clark congratulatory.
It is.
I really contemplated not reading it, but I also didn't want to give this guy, because I actually know this guy personally. So he wrote a very nice review. Would one of you like to read it so I don't feel like I'm reading, like I'm being self-serving here? All right.
Let's see. The review is from By Grace I Am Saved, and he writes, Scott is the host with the most. The Gaming Outsider is a podcast you need to be listening to. If you're into the world of gaming, this is for you. Not only do they review games, they also go into great detail. They keep you up to date with gaming news and more. Scott is a down-to-earth guy who is as real as they come.
It's true. You are a real one.
You are. And we love you.
I appreciate the very nice review. Like I said, I know this guy. I've talked with him on Facebook for years, and it was very, very nice of him. But CB and Zack and Alyssa are here as well, and they're real as well.
Well, you're Scott Clark.
No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
We wouldn't be here without you.
Oh, I appreciate it, but it's about us. It's not about me. No matter what clips Kevin clips for TikTok. Anyway, I really do appreciate it. It was a very, very sweet review. And we haven't had, that was like the first one we've had in like a year. So if you guys get a chance, stop over and drop a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever. Like I said, it helps the algorithm in some way that I don't know how it works, but we would definitely like to grow our audience if at all possible. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our episodes and all of our written content as well, including some that posted this week. First off, David's review of SpongeBob SquarePants Cosmic Shake is available for you. Sean Coates' review of Startup Company. Alyssa's review of Season, A Letter to the Future, which we just heard about. And Zach's review of Circus Electrique from Zen Studios is also available on the website. Please do us a favor, check those out. We would love to hear your thoughts. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Zach and I have been talking outside the show a lot about narratives in video games, and I thought it would be interesting to discuss the future of games that don't necessarily revolve around playing online with your friends or playing puzzles or sports games. Obviously, the three of us, me, Zach, Alyssa, are very fond of games with a great story behind them, but we wonder what the future is going to hold for single-player, narrative-driven games. And first, I want to talk about why the three of us prefer games with a story so much. I mean, I understand that we don't speak for all gamers when we say this, but why do the two of you prefer a narrative instead of playing competitive games? Because I feel like you both are like me. Alyssa?
I just really like escaping into a different world, and I have ever since I was younger. It's really nice just to, be someone else and experience a story that some talented person has created. And it's just so much more immersive than playing a multiplayer game. And I am not confrontational or competitive in the slightest. And I don't feel that pressure when I play a single player narrative game. Like, I don't feel like I'm letting anyone down. I don't feel bad if I mess up. I'm just like, okay, that was my fault if I die in the game or whatever. I just really appreciate a well-written story, and I just don't do well usually with multiplayer games, and I just want to escape and not stress out. It's really why I prefer narratively driven games. But I mean, I've always read books, and it's just, I'm a sucker for a good story.
That's well said. I think I agree with you that we play games to not be stressed, although Zach still plays Elden Ring. But he's good at it already.
Let's say that's not stressful. Let's go. That's almost relaxing at this point.
Oh, man.
Yeah. He's a master.
Right.
But yeah, we play games to enjoy our time. I mean, some people enjoy it, but if you're not a competitive person, then that's not going to appeal to you. Yeah. Zach, what about you?
To your Elden Ring point, there's a little bit of the story of overcoming the struggle and eventually beating that boss or whatever. But so the game can kind of make its own story in that way. But in a multiplayer game, it's just a quick round. You know, I'm not working towards a story or a narrative, and much like Alyssa, man. You know, I just love stories. So when I'm playing multiplayer, I usually feel like I'm wasting my time. Not always. You know, like I've gotten sucked into Titanfall. You know, but a lot of the times I'm just like I could be watching a movie or playing a single player game or reading a book, dare I say. So I just feel it doesn't fill me with the same kind of satisfaction, and I'm not entirely sure. I guess why that is. I like entering into a storyline, you know, stuff to put into words because I love playing games, you know, more than watching movies, right? Because instead of, you know, it's watching a cowboy shoot a bunch of dudes is cool, but it's a lot better to be that cowboy.
Yeah, you get to be that.
Dudes.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why games are so powerful for me. And then when you go online, I don't know, I guess there's no immersion for me when I'm playing multiplayer. So I guess I'm just more aware of what I'm doing more so than when I'm doing other things in my life, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I get the anxiety if people are watching me. If I mess up, like, my brain just goes to weird places. I don't know. But I did have a fantastic time playing golf with your friends, with Scott and all the rest of the guys. That was a wonderful experience. If all multiplayer experiences were like that, I would enjoy it more, probably. But
I mean, you just got to come play with that group because that was just so much fun.
It was.
And some of those guys, it was the first time I had played with them. Tim Pollen, I had never played with him online before. Tim Thane, I never played with. Like, we had a really good time. We should definitely do that again. And like, you know, branch out to something else. Golf with friends works perfectly because nobody really cares if you win or lose. Nobody's like rubbing it in that they won. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, but it's still super fun. Like, it's just so much fun to see what gets thrown at you with those courses, and they keep adding it and everything too. But
see, I might like multiplayer more if I had friends.
You have us.
Yeah.
Or if I guess I had a work schedule that, you know, could accommodate friendships.
I was gonna say I tried to play a multiplayer game with you today, and you're like, nah, man, no.
Yeah, I said, get away from me, you sicko.
I think with me, I am somewhat in the middle because I know, Alyssa, you said that you are not competitive. And with me, my problem is I am competitive. I really don't like to lose. On the same token, I don't like to let my team down if there's a team-based game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because I hate to lose so much, it frustrates me playing multiplayer games because I don't have the time to dedicate to get really good at those games. You know, back when I was a kid and all I had was all day long in the summer when there's no school to either play outside or play video games, I got really good at GoldenEye. I could hold my own and I could be really good. Or back in the day when all we did was come home from work and hop online and see if the Gears group was ready to play. I was getting pretty good at Gears because I was doing that every single day. As I get older, I don't have the time to play anything every single day, much less the same game every single day because there's other things I'd rather be playing. So
Got room?
Got room. Narrative games to me work because I'm not worrying about competing against other people that I'm going to feel frustrated with myself. Like, eventually, with a narrative game, I'm going to win. You know what I mean? If I work at it hard enough, I'm going to get there. I'm going to win the game. I'm not going to walk away with just, I won. I'm going to have walked away with a rich story if it's a well-told story.
Yeah, hopefully something that sticks with you, yeah.
Right. And, you know, a multiplayer game is not going to stick with me like that. Don't get me wrong, the interactions with the friends that we've made online are why I play online with people. You know what I mean? But even now, I'm playing Borderlands 3 with my group every Friday, or every other Friday at least. I don't remember the story in the game there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Borderlands 3 so far is even less memorable than the original or 2 to me in terms of what actually takes place. It's just a vehicle to spend time with friends that I want to hang out with each week. You know what I mean? But the rich stories or experiences. Not even necessarily the story itself, but just experiencing something in a game, most of the time story-wise, that just feels like I've never come across that before, are the moments that I strive for. Whether it be a gameplay thing or a story thing. I can't believe that just happened. I mean, it's been a while since I've had those moments, because I feel like we're almost spoiled with like how much good stuff has been there. Where it gets more difficult to really impress us. In fact, Zach, you could attest to this. Like, these people start impressing us by like rolling the clock back a little bit. Like, our number one game last year was Vampire Survivors. That had no story, and looked like a game that we could have played on our Super Nintendo back in the day. You know what I mean? So it's funny to me that we get so used to those high value games, rich stories, rich narratives, intense mechanics, and then we love these simple games that bring us back. So I don't know. That is a long answer for a very short question. Do you think that story-based games could start diminishing in the coming generations, and why or why not?
Well, I think it's easy to argue they already have. I think we're seeing a little bit more of a resurgence right now, especially like single player offerings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at EA, right? Like they Jedi Survivor, Dead Space, that Wild Hearts game can play in single player. So there's definitely, I feel like there's kind of a sweet spot going on right now for them, but we know that it's not going to last, right? Especially with, was it PlayStation? We're going to get 10 live service games from them in the next 4 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So people are chasing the dollar. So, but as I said a couple weeks ago on the mid-tier games episode, I think mid-tier games are going to have more of an opportunity to shine than ever, and just come in with banger stories and single player games, because that's where you're going to find them more so.
Yeah, I would just love to see these mid-tier games come in for like $40. You know what I mean? Like a 6 to 8 hour experience that just tells a really good story, still fun to play, and I can just move on to another one.
Yeah, I think hoping they're $40 might be some wishful thinking.
Well, even 50. I guess I'm still thinking of it as a $60 marketplace. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I keep forgetting that we are up to the $70 mark now.
Yeah, like I think Wanted Dead is a $60 game, and it's like, ooh, what a budget title.
Yeah, right.
Saving $10 here.
Yeah. but I do not have a problem paying $60 for a compelling 10 hours. That's more interesting to me than paying $60 for a mediocre 80 hours.
Right.
True.
Or a really good looking, incredibly looking game that is okay to play for 80 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not worth it for me. Yeah, so I don't think they're going to go anywhere, single player games. I used to, but I think with the tool sets and stuff, it looks like the mid tier is going to squeeze back in here, and that's pretty exciting, man.
Okay. Alyssa, what do you think?
I don't think they're going to go anywhere either. I do think they're going to flourish more in the indie and mid-tier scene, because, take for example, the game I just played, Season. It's a 30-hour game. You can complete it between
$30, right?
Oh, $30, yeah. Sorry. Got my words mixed up. $30 game that you can complete in a set number of hours, but it's not extremely long. Fantastic story, and you can shape it the way you want to. And a lot of the games I do review for the sites are narratively driven games that are lower priced, but they have a very strong story that you don't forget. And those are the ones that stick with me more than the typical AAA experience. Now, some of those do stick with me, but I find myself really, the stories in indie games and mid-tier games just kind of last longer in my memory. I do see AAA kind of deviating from the narratively driven focus, because, they're trying to make cash. And a lot of kids nowadays, they play Fortnite, they play Roblox. They get battle passes and V-Bucks. So, I think a lot of it is money. That's just why these are flourishing in a certain way. I also think some people just like connecting with friends instead of being in a narrative, which I can't fault them for that. But I don't think they're going anywhere.
I can. Friends are fleeting. Stories are forever.
Well, true. I mean,
Wow.
a book can stay with you longer than a friend can, or whatever media you're talking about. But that's true. True.
I've had a lot of friends disappoint me in life. You know what's never disappointed me? Green Lantern by Jeff Johns.
I mean, I could say the same thing about some books and movies and all that I've watched.
Exactly.
Alyssa, I'm glad that you brought up the aspect of kids, playing games like Fortnite and Roblox, because honestly, that was the inspiration for this topic.
Mm-hmm.
The generation of good consumers.
Yeah, which I hope we can kind of, I hope I can get this point across without sounding too old manny, because I really feel like that's what I've become. Like looking at the younger generation, like, back in my day. But I feel like Zack is 11 years younger than me, and I feel like he is of somewhat the same mindset, and I want to kind of like.
I'm definitely an old man. There's no, mentally.
Yeah.
I'm an old woman mentally too.
I was having an epiphany the other day where I was thinking about games that kids play, and I cannot tell you a single time that a kid in my classroom has ever said, "Mr. Clark, I played this game, and you will not believe how cool the story is." I've never, ever, in my 8-9 years of teaching, ever heard a kid excited to tell me about a story that they had in a game. Every game that they want to play is something that is either a social aspect game, like Roblox. I actually played Roblox with my students a couple years ago when I was doing remote teaching. And there's no game, dude. At least in the one we were playing, there's no game. It's just like hanging out in a world and driving around and shopping and putting each other in grocery carts. Like there's no.
It's a platform for development, right? So presumably there's got to be more in-depth games out there.
Oh yeah, there was like a tag game we played or a hide and seek type game. It's kind of a platform, but the game that the kids wanted to play was not anything where there was any kind of rule set or there was any goal in mind. It was just be there and hang out with your friends. Now, one could argue that is creating their own narrative, right? That's what we did when we played outside. And unfortunately, we live in a world where it's not necessarily as safe to play outside anymore. And I think parents are more okay with keeping their kids.
Well, I was going to say,
inside.
Actually, it seems like the indoor areas are the dangerous ones. Malls and schools and theaters. Well, that's where everybody's getting shot.
Well,
no, we're safe.
That's a good point too.
Outside is.
That's what I was referring to more of outside. Like, again, I hate the whole like back in my day, but when I was a kid, we went home and we went out and played. And
on your bikes, you drove down to the woods. You got lost in the woods for 3 hours and you came home.
Yeah, or like until you heard your dad whistle, or like when the streetlights came on. Like that was once the streetlights are on and it's time to come home for dinner. You know what I mean? The thought of kids going out and doing that now, I don't think it happens anymore.
No. But I truly don't think it is more dangerous. I think the perception is that it's more dangerous.
I agree. I think that I think a lot of it is because people are a little bit more aware that kind of stuff does happen.
On. Yeah.
I feel like it was just not like I think back in the 80s, people didn't really believe it happened.
Yeah,
they were more worried. They were more worried. Yeah, I think they were more worried about drugs than anything else. You know what I mean? So, but I want to talk specifically about also Fortnite, which obviously insanely popular, and I don't care what the parents say. Oh, they're not playing it as much anymore. They're going. No, they're still all they talk about is Fortnite. At least in my school, and there's not. I understand that there's world building in that game. There's some kind of overarching story between each season or whatever.
Well, as someone who played quite a bit of Fortnite last year, it is utter nonsense.
Right. There's not. You're not playing Fortnite for the story. No matter what happens.
The story is a narrative justification for why all these toys are in the same sandbox, basically.
Right.
Like Doctor Strange has a gun.
Yes. Yep. Well, it's not actually Doctor Strange. You see, it's a variant of him.
Oh, it's variant.
Is that actually the explanation?
Yeah, because that's how they apparently sold it to Marvel and stuff. It was like, no, Spider-Man's not the one with the gun. No, it's a version of him that's popped through to the Fortnite world. It's not an actual Spider-Man.
And that worked?
I guess so.
I guess they're probably like, it branches into the movies.
But it never gets not weird seeing Superman with an assault rifle.
Yeah. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is that these are the types of games that kids are playing. And this is why I fear for the future of narrative games, because I'm now the old guy that wants a story in the games, and the kids, in my opinion, aren't interested in the story anymore. They're interested in the interaction with their friends, which again isn't a bad thing, or they're interested in just dominating somebody else and being rewarded with skins, with emotes and dances, or more V-Bucks to buy more of this stuff to show off how much better they are than somebody else. That is like the driving force of most of the kids that I talk to that play games in my school. It's all about, you know what, I take it back. There's one girl that's not even in my class. She is awesome. She comes to me and says hi to me every day and tell me how far she is in Sonic Frontiers. And just how,
Nice. Great
like,
game.
she wears a Sonic sweatshirt like every day and comes and tells me like how she beat this boss, and we kind of compare notes about what we did, and it's great, you know. And there's more story in Sonic than Fortnite, and you know what I mean? And I don't mean to sound like I'm knocking those games, but I feel like people that don't play games are going to say are going to take what I'm about to say and call me crazy. But I think we learned life lessons from video games when we have stories in them, because we learn from those stories. We learn the difference between good and bad. We learn, looking out for. We learn about altruism, doing something because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, self-sacrifice, and
yeah,
you know, even saving the day in Ocarina of Time costs Link a lot.
Right.
You know.
I mean, like at the end of the game, he's just exhausted, right?
Right, yeah.
He sacrificed himself for the good of the kingdom and for the princess, right?
Yeah, nothing.
I mean,
but kids today, the only life lesson they're learning is greed in Fortnite, Roblox, any live service game, really.
That's kind of my point. It's just about being greedy and selfish and domineering and powerful. Like that's what it's all about. Now, granted, there are some that are just about the experience. They just want to be with their friends and just laugh, which I'm all about. That's what I do with my friends. We barely play D&D at D&D anymore. We sit and crack jokes and drink beer, and that's great. And if they're doing the same thing with Fortnite, I'm not knocking it, but we're missing that story aspect.
You want kids to drink beer?
No, I don't want kids to drink beer. But Zach, we had a conversation about this, and you were talking about playing Mario 64. You remember that conversation?
Oh, vaguely.
With the penguin.
Oh, yeah, and bringing the little baby penguin back to its mom.
Yeah. We all remember doing that in Mario 64 in the ice level or snow level.
Right, for hardly any reward at all.
Nothing. You got a star, but all that did was help you.
You reunited a baby with its mother.
That's what I'm saying. That was the reward, was being a good person.
Yeah.
And it felt good.
It felt good to do the right thing, even though you didn't get anything for it. Granted, you did get a star for it, right? But that star was used to help you get one step closer to doing another selfless act, which was rescuing somebody.
Right. Well, there were other ways to get stars too. You could have just went and rounded up all the 8 red coins, but you wanted to help that penguin out.
Right. I mean, some of us want to drop that baby penguin off the cliff, but those people are monsters.
Yes. That's what kids today would do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they would just laugh and laugh.
And then that way they could post it on TikTok and get engagement.
I think I want to not make this like another topic, but I want to go back into our community, like on Discord and Facebook, and kind of pose like a sub question and ask people that have kids, what games are your kids playing? Are they playing any narrative driven games, or is it all, this competitive, straight up action? Are there narratives being told in the games that your kids are playing?
Responsible parenting is making your kid play Zelda.
I'm not trying to come across that way. I'm not trying to be like you're.
I am. I just said it.
Well, I'm just clarifying. I'm not. I am not calling people bad parents. I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I mean, people probably called my parents bad parents for letting me play video games at all, because I lived in an era where it was rotting your brain and like, no to Nintendo and all that kind of stuff. My dad to this day, my biological dad, still hates video games. He bought me my first video game a month ago.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I hate him.
Like he hated video games growing up because he just thought he I mean, he's 83 now, so you know what I mean. It's like he's twice my age and didn't get it, and he just, in his mind, it was taking away from doing something that could grow my brain. He never thought of the possibility of games growing my brain, and I feel like because how much I did play, especially the narrative-driven like JRPGs that had a lot of text reading and even as simple things like Mario, where you're doing selfless acts to rescue somebody, I was learning life lessons. And my question is, where are kids learning those lessons today?
Dude, this reminds me of a terrible example of learning lessons.
Okay.
But my mom definitely mostly bought me games to just be out of her hair.
Yeah.
But I do remember once playing Grand Theft Auto 3, and she came downstairs with her friend, and I banged a hooker to get the health boost, and then I killed the hooker to get my money back. And my mom was like, her friend was like, "What the hell is he playing?" And mom was like, "Well, he just got the health boost and he got his money back. That's smart. He got the bonus and he got to keep the cash. That's just
so
that's
your
just
mom is the one mom that's like, yeah, that's. I mean, it just makes sense.
Bang that hooker, honey. That makes sense to me." Yeah, a pretty awesome core memory.
That
I'm like 10 years old.
That needs to be on the box quote. Zach's mom.
Approved.
Anyway,
he learned so much.
I feel like I'm getting on a soapbox, but I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a long time. Because it's not that kids don't like stories. I got some kids that just love to read in my class, and they love to read like Goosebumps books, like I did. Yes, kids are still reading Goosebumps, by the way.
That is shocking.
They this kid bought a box set of like 10 of them at the book fair on Thursday. Like he's super stoked about it.
Much.
Book fair's great.
Do they watch the old show still?
I don't know if where you would watch the old show. There's a movie now.
I think they have the episodes on Netflix, or they used to.
Right.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was a movie.
But my point is that I am nervous about the future of narrative games. I know that some of our community, we're going to hear in a minute, have tried to sway my opinion other ways, and we're going to see some stats about the top games of the year and all that. But I don't think there's going to be a market for it in the next 20 years. I really don't. It's going to be us, the 50 and 60-year-olds that are going to be, clamoring for these narrative-driven games, and we're going to be a dying generation by that point.
Oh no. We're going to be like comic fans. Batman used to sell 1 million copies every month, and now it's lucky if it sells 100,000.
Right. That's what it's going to be. And like Alyssa said earlier, it's going to be all about the money. And we're only going to get these kinds of things from indie developers, which I'm not knocking indie developers, but I would still like to have a good story and some pretty graphics at the same time. Like AAA graphics is what I know you don't care about graphics, Zach, but so yeah, I'm worried.
There is something about like performance capture in the way that it works that helps sell the mannerisms of characters in a scene and stuff, and it's harder to get that at the mid-tier level.
Right. It's not super necessary. Like, I mean,
no, but it helps.
It helps. But yeah, but I mean, just the list of games we talked about last week that, I mean, they look good at the time, you know what I mean? But they didn't require mocap and all that. They just were animated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them were mocap, don't get me wrong, but just
give
me a good
point.
story and a fun game to play, and throw something at me that I've not seen before. Can we get another like Hideo Kojima, like somebody that just like takes these chances and tries something weird, but just not go as weird as he is now?
Hey man, Death Stranding was great.
It's
sure.
Cutie booty delivery duty, Zach.
Apologies. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope that didn't sound too soapboxy, but yeah.
You're definitely an old man. There's no question.
I love you too, Zach.
Hey, we're on the same page with this. We're both old men in this instance.
I mean, we've had talks about like just print in general being a dying thing.
Which makes me sad.
Right. Except for weirdly novels.
Yeah. But then we say that, but yet we listen to the actual audiobooks instead of.
No, I know you and I do. I'm just saying that book sales and digital sales have been like 50-50 for almost 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm covering some of the sales in my town for physical books.
Dude, with the popularity of manga, print will never die now.
I genuinely don't know how newspapers and magazines like are still a thing. Except
magazines from what I've seen, I guess I haven't looked at a news rack, but a lot of them are like $10.95 an issue now.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah.
And does anybody buy them except for like dentist offices and
you're selling it to less people at a higher cost, I guess is how you're staying alive.
I guess, but like I couldn't imagine paying $11 for a magazine and being like, yeah, that seems right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you subscribe to them, if you subscribe to them, they're a lot cheaper.
That's true. That is true.
It's insane. Game Informer's still in print.
Yeah.
If you want it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get it for $15 a year if you get the power up rewards at GameStop.
Yeah,
which
the
is
paper's
nuts.
so thin you can read the article on the next page to the one you're on right now.
Yeah.
But it's still in print.
Anyway, I weep for the future for multiple reasons, but that's one of them. Let's see what the community had to say. They had some interesting points as well. We asked you guys all for responses on Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. And here's what you said. Let's start with Alyssa over on Facebook.
Okay, if I say this name wrong, I am sorry. David Koenig?
I believe it's Koenig.
Koenig, I'm sorry. Says, it's been this way since midway through the 360/PS3 cycle. The 360 started out with tons of single-player games. It turned into multiplayer and open world fast, both of which I'm personally not big on. I've gamed less and less for this reason. I was so happy for the Dead Space remake just to have a straightforward game. I think they will always be around, but not nearly as prevalent as before. I'm gonna add that I've never played a free-to-play game, nor have I done any multiplayer in years. But yeah, I'm old.
And that's the fear, right? Is that I think that's going to be my midlife crisis moment, is not like buying a convertible and growing my hair out over a bald spot or something like that. It's going to be reminiscing about playing games by myself in my basement and enjoying a good story.
You're gonna track down mediocre 360 games you never played just to have a single player game to play.
Pretty much, because we know there's plenty of them, right?
Yeah.
We obviously could not have played all the games back then, so it's just going to be about finding.
It was easier to, trust me.
Yeah. So we're gonna. It's just gonna have to come down to accepting our fate of being the older generation that is not as relevant in pop culture.
Sad.
I mean,
yeah,
it is.
We're old.
But you know what's really weird though? And this is related. Trust me. But my students, as much as they don't like playing older games as much, and they just want to play Fortnite, they are obsessed with old music, man. I understand that like TikTok is very powerful and probably the cause of this, but Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, is like insanely popular. Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi, my students love Bon Jovi. I did a middle school dance where they asked me to play that, and they all were singing all the lyrics at the top of their lungs. Yesterday, or not yesterday, but like on Friday, they were singing "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees. Like all of a sudden, that's popular with fourth graders. Like why is that popular? It has to be TikTok is all I can think, but old music is making a resurgence.
Huh.
Part of I actually had a conversation with somebody about this. I think that the reason that is I think it's COVID related, but not for the reasons that you think. I think that there hasn't been as much newer music produced because they couldn't go to the studios for that slice of lifetime. And with nothing new coming out, kids were stuck at home listening to whatever their parents listened to. And their parents listened to Bon Jovi and this kind of stuff.
Staying alive.
Yeah.
Staying alive.
That's all I've been hearing for the past week. And they don't know like the chorus, the verses or anything. They just do that.
No.
That
That's all
part
you need to
is
know.
all over and over again. Anyway, next comment, Zach.
Sean Coates, I'm not that worried about narrative-driven games from disappearing entirely. I think it was mentioned on the episode about mid-tier games that the resurgence is most likely will fill that void for narrative stories if AAA games continue on the path of live service battle royales. But AAA story games aren't going to go away entirely either. However, they might start becoming fewer and further between a couple generations from now. At the moment, we have plenty of big-budget single-player AAA games coming in the next couple months. Starfield, Jedi Survivor, Spider-Man 2, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Assassin's Creed, Avatar, Project 007, the list goes on. Maybe you should revisit this topic in 5 years or so for a status update, so to speak.
Well, that's ambitious. We'll still be doing this in 5 years?
I think you have to, or CB slaps you.
That's
Oh,
true.
no. Well, 5 years we'll be there. We'll be at 800. 800
okay.
was the number.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that also brings up a good point because I actually won a slap bet against him, right?
You
'Cause
did, yes.
He didn't. So if I don't make it to 800, we don't make this to 800 episodes of The Gaming Outsider, and he owes me a slap, do those slaps just cancel each other out, or do we have to go through with both slaps?
I would personally say you have to slap each other,
I would too.
but I would understand gentleman agreement to not slap one another.
Oh, that's the thing. He won't do a
I was
gentleman's
going to say, I
agreement.
don't feel
Yeah.
like that would be, both sides would agree to that.
Yeah.
CB will be fun because even if you hurt him, he'll try to act like he's not hurt,
Mm-hmm.
but then he'll probably go to the other room and cry.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the games Sean didn't mention on here, that Indiana Jones game, that one's also coming too in the next
Right?
3
Or
years.
Amy Hennig's Captain America
Yeah.
game.
I don't know. I feel like I'm backing myself into a corner or talking against myself here, but look at all those games as a service games that we talked about in news that got canceled. One of them was canceled before it was even released. You know what I mean? Because the market is getting so saturated where if you're not Fortnite, if you're not Warzone, if you're not whatever other hot ones are out there right now, are you going to survive? Or are we going to come to some kind of new gameplay style that's not games as a service, that's not single player? I don't even know what that would mean. You know what I mean? Would you have ever imagined Battle Royale being a thing? Like 15 years ago?
Not a popular one. They had game modes like them before, but they were never. Clearly, the popularity is different here.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, next comment comes from Paul Hine. He says, "My fear is that a quality story-based game is going to become financially infeasible, or perhaps more accurately, large studios are not willing to take a chance on new IPs to allow AAA story-based games to come out. Still not convinced that Starfield is going to be all that awesome. The hype train is too big." I'm kind of with you, Paul. Don't tell CB.
I feel like the hype is kind of in check. I think everybody knows it's just going to be a Bethesda game, but in space, right?
That's what it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. I mean, what else would it be?
I don't know. I think it's the way that those videos, like when Todd Howard got up there and talked about it, it just seems so grand and epic. And
Maybe I'm just not seeing these parts of the internet, but I'm sure Xbox fans are building it up because it's all they got.
that's probably true too. Yeah. He goes on to say, while we have some in the pipeline, are they going to become fewer and far between? Probably. Maybe this is the consequence of studio acquisitions and mergers. Maybe it is the 24/7 news cycle and rumor mill, or agenda-based thinking that is pop culture, but people sure seem hesitant to take a risk narratively. Look at the movie industry. The go-to-the-theater movies have pretty much sucked as of late for some beloved franchises. The really interesting stuff is coming to small screen, think Andor for Star Wars. Maybe the mid-tier gaming space is where new story-driven IPs will thrive in the future.
Thank God James Gunn is here to save theaters.
What movie are you referring to?
No, just their idea of writers and directors come first for their superhero movies instead of the universe itself.
Oh, gotcha. I can't tell if you're being facetious or not.
I'm being serious. I think
Oh, okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Thanks, Paul, for that one. Alyssa, you're up over on Discord.
Thomas Bex writes, multiplayer games and service games have been around for years, and if you can get in on that, then it's a good payday. However, we recently also saw enormous success for single-player story games because there are plenty of people who want to play a good story and have no interest in battling other players. speaking for myself, I'm not good at shooters, and if I have to take on 12-year-old kids who do nothing but play that, I will not have a good time. But I can play Last of Us or Jedi Fallen Order at my own pace, at my own difficulty, and still experience the story, and that is what I like.
Yeah. Kind of why I said I'm not gonna take the time to get good at a multiplayer shooter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Titanfall was my jam for a couple months. Gears was my jam for a couple years. And GoldenEye was my jam when I was 17 or 18 years old and had nothing better to do. Not going to be there anymore. Zach?
Who are we on? Thomas Bex?
David Newman.
David Newman event. Top 10 best-selling games of 2022 in the U.S. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, Madden NFL 23, God of War Ragnarok, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, FIFA 23, Pokemon Legends Arceus, for Horizon Forbidden West, and MLB The Show 22. Over half the games on the bestsellers list of 2022 are single-player-based games. Narrative-driven games still have a large market. Kids probably mostly play multiplayer games, but as they get older, I suspect they'll start to play single-player games when they have less time and start to understand the importance of a good story. Multiplayer will get bigger, but it doesn't mean our story-driven games will not still be abundant.
I don't think I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think I agree. I think that I agree that kids mostly play multiplayer games, but I don't think they're going to make the leap to single-player games.
No.
I think they'll drop off of video games altogether before they do that.
I would say the same thing, because I grew up playing narratively driven games, and I still go for those games. So, it's kind of hard to break away from what you grow up with.
Yeah, or the argument that when they have less time, well, then wouldn't that push you more towards multiplayer because you just get a quick round in?
Yeah.
But you're not going to have time to get good, I think is what he's saying. And he makes an interesting point that over half the games on the list are single-player based games. But if you were to go back, I don't have this in front of me. I would have to go do some research, and I apologize, David, I don't have this in front of me. If you went back 15, 20 years and looked at the top 10 games, I would feel pretty safe in assuming that that number would be a lot higher of single-player games.
Isn't it an even half? Elden Ring, God of War, 2 Pokemons, and Horizon, right?
I mean, you could call Call of Duty. I say Call of Duty is selling copies for the multiplayer, not the campaign.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, the argument of it's single player based games, and
Elden Ring, God of War, Lego Star Wars, Pokemon.
Well,
Pokemon.
But Lego Star Wars is neither narrative driven nor single player focused.
That's true. But both Pokemon games, yeah, and Horizon.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So even half is what I'm saying.
Right, but
that doesn't seem like a good sign to me.
Me either. That half the games are that, because I feel like that number is declining. Because I feel like that number would have been 70 or 80% 15 years ago.
Right. And also, even there were a lot more AAA games that wouldn't have been one of the best sellers, but they were still making money before.
Right.
But they want the profit margins to be bigger, with every game. So, it's a different market.
It's all about money.
Unfortunately. I mean, it was always all about money, but that PS3 360 era was a pretty sweet spot of where business and art met.
I agree. But now there's such an oversaturation of games. I mean, look how many games come out every week. I mean, last week was an anomaly that we had 3 or 4. There's 15 to 20 games on this week, just this week alone.
Right.
Yeah,
there's no way to keep up. There's just no way. Whereas, back when we started, we played one game every month when we were kids. You know what I mean? If we were lucky. And not because there weren't enough titles coming out, but they're definitely coming out at a much faster clip nowadays.
They used to come out slower because in my 20s I could replay games, and now in my 30s I cannot find the time to replay games.
That's a good point. Well, that's because you got a taskmaster of an editor-in-chief that wants you to play something new all the time.
That's right, yeah.
Next comment comes from Jacob Gunderson. He says, for me, it's all about the annoyances that come with multiplayer games. I played the first Modern Warfare 2 for almost 7 years with and without friends, and I still play Skyrim, even though I've probably seen and done everything it has to offer. As we've gotten farther into the ideas of loot crates, battle passes, in-game currency, aim assist, and unbalanced gameplay, They have taken successful titles and ruined them for me. The only time I feel like I'm having a good time anymore is when I'm playing a single-player game, whether or not it's story-driven. Single-player games don't ask if you want to watch a video for 2 times currency after a boss fight. I can play for hours uninterrupted or worrying about stupid mechanics. Obviously, there are exceptions to this idea on both sides, but my mainstream AAA multiplayer game is just a glorified cash grab at this point.
I mean, I would even argue most of your or single-player AAA games are cash grabs too.
Yeah, because they had that like press Y to buy more currency for this thing.
Yeah, or here's 16 different build-up currencies you need. You know.
Oh, you're talking about the I can't remember the name of it now.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I was actually referring to Gotham Knights because that should have just been a cool little single-player game, and it doesn't let you buy microtransactions, but the whole game just. To what he said, like it's constantly interrupting itself to go into the menus, and I got to build this or I got to worry about this crafting thing. Like, I just want to play the game though.
Right.
Can I play the game?
Did you have a tweet about that today? There was a guy talking about how the games are constantly like trying to just stop the flow of gameplay to and make you go into menus, and you made a pretty interesting point there. I think you compared Dead Space actually.
Well, yeah. Well, I used Dead Space Remake as an example because. The original actually had it where you were buying it from the store and you had to go into menus and stuff, whereas the remake actually has you're finding the new weapons along the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I was using it as an example of an actual improvement, which is
Right.
pretty rare. And again, EA somehow.
Yeah, they couldn't have gotten away with putting that game, doing microtransactions on that at all.
They tried with 3, I remember.
Right. Well, but. And that was still EA, I guess you're right, but it was a different developer.
Yeah. Well, it was EA's call. I'm pretty sure Visceral didn't want to add in microtransactions to their horror game.
Right. All right, Alyssa, last comment is on you.
Brandon Lloyd writes, I am worried that they will go away, but I hope not. Many games as a service have done poorly and shutting down, so maybe that helps not always be multiplayer. I'm drifting away from multiplayer too, especially as I'm older and I have less time to get good.
See? It's not just me. Not just me. And Paul Hine actually added a comment there too. He said, whenever I hear the get good from the lobby chat, it makes me want to punch people in the face. Yeah. Especially when they spell it get good, G-U-D. Drives me crazy.
Get good.
Hate it. Anywho, thank you guys for indulging me in this topic. I wanted to get on my old man soapbox for a second. I hope I didn't come across too curmudgeonly, but I appreciate it. Next week's topic is yet to be determined, so stay tuned on the social media outlets for what we're going to talk about next week. We always love hearing from you guys, but that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. I want to remind everybody that the episodes are produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please also be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, you got anything non-gaming related you'd like to share with everybody?
No, I gotta get out of here. I'm dying over here.
Okay. Alyssa, how about you?
I actually read a book without pictures. Just words.
Whoa!
That sucks.
Yeah.
What a waste.
I know. But it was really good. And actually, the movie adaptation came out this week in theaters. And the book is The Cabin at the End of the World. And since, since the movie just came out...
weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did. The audio narrator sucked.
Oh, I've heard the audiobook. It's terrible.
Yeah, really bad.
But I did not listen to the audiobook. And just as a reading experience, it was just a really wonderful thriller. It's not really scary per se, in my opinion. But just the things that happen, which I've heard the movie changes some things. I have not seen the film. Really like the book, reading it. But like Zach said, I've heard a lot of people say the audiobook is trash.
Weirdly trash. But you're right, a thriller. It is definitely a thriller, not a horror. But it's it has intriguing concepts.
It does, and it makes you question some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For me, I got a music recommendation. I couldn't talk about Hi-Fi Rush without doing a music recommendation, apparently. I discovered a band, relatively new band. Their first album came out last year. I don't know how I missed this one, but the band is called Gunshine. And I thought that was a pretty cool band name anyway. But this is a band that is very reminiscent of 80s hair metal without the raunchiness, like the Motley Crues and the Guns N' Roses and Poison and all that. It's got that sound to it. The lead singer sounds like a really good mix of Brian Johnson from AC/DC, Axl Rose, and somebody else who was driving me crazy. But just really good, solid music, and the guitar player is incredible. If you like 80s music, but have kind of been craving for something fresh, I need to see this band live as soon as possible. Their album is just called Gunshine. It's the name of the band and the name of the album. I have listened to it on repeat all week long, and I'm not done. I'm already craving more, and I'm going to be looking for tour dates because I need to see them when they come local. So check them out if you like music from yesteryear, but like I said, want something new. Again, the band is called Gunshine. Well, Zach, thanks for being here, man. Hope you feel better. Hope you...
Yeah, me too.
Hope you feel
Sorry,
better,
guys.
too. Don't be sorry.
Definitely gonna need to get some medicine after this.
Yeah. Feel better soon. Alyssa, as always, thanks for being here. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
I always love being on here. I love you guys so much.
Yeah, we love you too. So until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.